Warzone players chase two major metrics: kills and wins. So I've built my entire channel on two goals: win more gunfights and win more games. My strategy checklist to achieve this is divided into two columns: adaptive gunplay and the tactical approach. Column 1 focuses on how to win a 1v1 gunfight. Weapon proficiency, which is knowing your ground loot, as well as selecting a meta loadout that suits your playstyle. For aim, we will focus on centering, pre-aiming, and recoil control. And for movement, we're going to flip the script on everything you've ever been told about how to succeed in Warzone. If you master these three categories, you will start winning more 1v1s, but in order to take out multiple enemies and, more importantly, win more games, you must refine your tactical approach, which requires mastering observation, anticipation, and reaction. And in today's situational report, I am going to drop into a casuals gameplay and show you how to take these 6 strategies and build real improvement in the game. My name is SitRep, and if you're serious about your Warzone improvement, hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss a single video. Weapon proficiency is something that not a lot of people talk about, which is knowing the loot pool that's on the ground at the start of the game. And if you don't get comfortable with what best suits the fight that you're in, you are going to get outplayed by players who simply just know how to loot better. Now, whenever I start a game, I am making sure that I have a submachine gun and preferably something with longer range. I'm also looking at tacticals and lethals that I can use to outplay multiple enemies with shorter magazines. I want a short range and a long range so that I can engage targets from a variety of distances, and then I can start to pre-plan an attack. As I am approaching a fight, I am pre-aiming down the hallway because I am using the information from my minimap that there are 3 players on my level because they have no arrows. I am already pre-planning to throw this shock charge directly into the middle of the fight, and then I'm going to use that, complete the reload, get a knock, and I'm immediately switching over to the secondary target. Notice as soon as I drop the first, I shift right to minimize player 3's ability to see me while I drop player 2. I'm also not thirsting the first knock to give myself the most ammo to complete this fight. This is why casuals is so powerful, because you can practice the use of ground loot and non-meta weapons along with the tactics required to hit multiple targets. Now, your maneuvering in and around those players that surprise you is where I like to focus my movement energy, as I'm using the sidestep and the slide to get into cover, reset my fights, plates, ammunition, and I'm using that bob and weave mechanic to get on target. Sideways movement is helpful. Just remember that you don't want to overexpose yourself too far away from cover. That directional fire indicator, which is the compass that is around the outside of the screen, does track with you as you move, so it can help you find enemies that do surprise you so that you can get into cover more efficiently. Communicating that you want to buy a loadout and dropping the money quickly is the path to getting from that ground loot into your meta loadout, but you should never hard focus the loadout in the area when there are players trying to kill you. Again, casuals is going to be a little bit easier, but if you do it, you need to have a plan of action. And while you are not in an active gunfight, you need to be absorbing the information from the map. Right now, I am taking in that information. I also am paying attention to the fact that I need to get in zone as fast as possible. So the best way to do that is to zip up to the top of Research Center here and then fly down to assist my teammates. Now, with that observation comes the next step, which is anticipating or predicting what players are going to do with that information. Is they have already engaged my team and they are going to know that we're coming, so I'm going to try and find a way to apply pressure before we move in. I'm going to take elevation and find information. That is a combination of movement and anticipation to get the best line of sight. I'm not just going to bum rush in there. I'm going to take those resurgence pings and rotate around the outside wall and watch for returning players so that I have the best possible outcome. Because once you push into a location with not enough information, it can cost you your life. And depending on if you do it, it can cost you the game. So it is a very good place to practice pushing players in a strategic manner. One of the bigger tips that I give players is to stop landing on their loadout. You can land back on your loot if enemy players are not directly on it, but always have a backup plan when you get there so that you can get away as quick as possible. Rotating around the outside of those POIs and continuing to get open lines of sight on players so you can start to control that power position. Pings are a huge part of your communication system. That is a universal way to help your teammates find the location of danger without voice comms, even if there's a language barrier. Use your ping system. Patience and self-control are a huge part of what make great Warzone players. If you are overly aggressive and you push without information, you are going to continue to die with less kills and you're not going to get as many wins. So make sure you're slowing down. Playing fast does not necessarily mean that you are overly aggressive in every situation. I like to do something called circle clearing, which is where I zigzag the outside of the white line between where the gas is collapsing. It gives you a little bit more informational control because you have a safe zone behind you that players can't attack you from. You still have to be aware that players can make gas plays and that they can do the outside rotation. You want to be aware in Resurgence about those Resurgence timers. We want to be opening boxes and dropping players to reduce the timer. But remember, you are extremely vulnerable because if you're out, so is the rest of the team. Holding down your loadout for your team returning is a very big brain play. And if you can secure that perimeter and keep it for them, it can make it much easier for them to get their guns. But you need to be ready to bail out if it's still too many enemies. Recoil control is very, very difficult for some players. I find myself falling into bad habits all the time where I'm doing way too many left stick mechanics and not enough right stick mechanics. Remember, you want to test your recoil in the firing range for the weapon that you're using, and you can do this with ground loot. Just put it up against a wall, make sure you have bullet impacts turned on, and find your recoil pattern. You want to pull down in the opposite direction of that pattern and be ready to change that lock on. The farther away they are, the harder you have to pull down. If they're close, make sure that you let off of that and let off your ADS, your left ADS trigger. That will put you back into a free look and you can hip fire much faster, and it is a lot easier to get back on a high motion target. You want to eliminate enemy players' ability to hold you. So rotating around the outside of the circle after you see mini-map information will give less time for them to notice you as the circle collapses. You never want to be the last guy getting into the circle. Treat it like a race and use self-control to stop your firefight and rotate for your position. In Resurgence, you're going to get lots of Resurgence pings, but you're also going to benefit greatly from having good callouts and comms. When a player is pinging and using good information like on the roof or bottom of water tower, on the rail car, use colors and shapes if you have nothing else. If he's on a red crate or if he's on a truck, that is way better information than saying over there or behind you, because not everyone's standing in the same spot, which creates a lot of confusion. Again, elevation and information, communicate your needs. If you have no plates, ask for plates, try to buy some, use your buy station to spread the wealth. But prioritize information and endgame score streaks. You want to have a gas mask towards the end of the game, a muni box, and preferably some type of aerial streak to kill a zone. Don't ignore solo dots on the edge of the map. They are the ones that are rotating for those big plays, and when you walk away, they're the ones triple buying back enemies and can completely flip a game on you. You want to have good reflexes to duck or slide into cover. I've always called this the nope moment. You have to figure this out. This is single-handedly one of the biggest things that hold people back early on, is they hold down that trigger until the magazine is empty, hoping that you will shoot first. If you're not getting enough shots on the player and you need to reset, let off the trigger, change your position, shoulder into cover, reload, pop a plate, and then try from a different angle. Prioritize that elevation and make sure that you are between the white circle and the red line as it collapses. Don't give up your power position and get low trying to get one kill and then lose the game. Be aggressive with fly-ins. You don't want them to get the best advantage of you when they get through, but after you take that fly-in out, rotate back towards that white circle, and you want the widest vantage point possible for the crossover. This is called gatekeeping, which is where we're holding this entire outside collapse and preventing any player from getting in the end game. This includes fly-ins, so we're going to prioritize taking them out first so that they don't gatekeep us as we get in zone. Count your dots, look at the power positions, watch your windows and your roofs, and make sure that you're not getting overly thirsty trying to get one with that footstep audio as they roll up on you. This is a crash course on how to improve at the game. If you like this kind of content, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I put out tons of videos focused on game sense and in various formats, and we are just getting started. Keep building, keep adapting. SitRep out.